Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Vicky. We're going to look at reading today.
Reading, okay.
Yeah, and so you can see the objective there, or the title of today's session: identify the different situations when the main points are sufficient and when it is important to have specific details.
Okay.
So these are our aims and outcomes today. By the end of this session, you must be aware of different ways to read and locate information, be aware of different reading skills, and find information using structural features. You should use different reading skills on a regular basis, and you could use different reading skills all the time. So we're going to start with a video, so I will share that with you now. So I'm just going to make sure that, just bear with me a moment. Okay. Right, let's try sharing that again. Let me know if you can't hear.
Reading to find information. There are many different reasons for reading. When you think about it, we are reading all the time. Road signs, instructions, timetables, junk mail, text messages, adverts, for example. However, there are times when we must focus our reading skills so that we can find specific information for a particular reason, sometimes in a short space of time. There are a few things to think about and strategies that we can use when finding information. Skimming and scanning reading techniques, using paragraphs and finding topic sentences to help, reading for detail, being able to concentrate and read carefully. Let's start with skimming and scanning. Skimming and scanning are fast reading techniques that can help you to read quickly, decide if the text is interesting and whether you should read it in more detail, obtain the gist of a piece of text, i.e., quickly identify its main ideas, find a key piece of information. Imagine you are choosing a magazine to buy. As you browse the shelf of possible magazines, your eyes quickly move over them all until you zoom in on the one that you want to take off the shelf for a better look. This is because your eyes have picked out that there are a few things that you would like to read about, such as an article on a famous singer that you like. This is skimming. You then pick up the text and flick through all the pages to find the article about the famous singer, and you scan this page quickly to see if it's all that was promised on that front page. This is scanning. How do you skim and scan read? Don't read the whole text word for word. Let your eyes move quickly until you find something you are looking for. Use picture or diagram clues to give you background information. Look at titles and headings. Use subheadings to find specific sections. Look for bulleted lists. Look for words written in bold. How is skimming different to scanning? Skimming is used to obtain the gist of a piece of text. Scanning is used to obtain specific information from a piece of text. Once you have skimmed and scanned, to find the piece of information you need, you then read for detail. What is reading for detail? Well, you should be sure about what you are looking for, and you should make sure that you read slowly and carefully. If you find it helpful, you can use a highlighter or underline keywords or phrases. Using paragraphs. We can use paragraphs to help with reading longer pieces of text. Writing is split into paragraphs to make it easier for the reader to make sense of things. Sometimes there are no subheadings to help us work out what information is where. Often, each paragraph has an opening sentence which will usually tell you what the paragraph is about. It's known as the topic sentence because it tells you the main point of the paragraph. When you are trying to get through text quickly, then just reading the first sentence of each paragraph can help you to see what the paragraph is about and then decide whether the paragraph is relevant to why you are reading or the information you are trying to find. And if you are reading a long piece of text which is made up of, say, 5 long paragraphs, if you only need to read the first sentence of each, you will just be reading 5 sentences, but you will still have a good overall idea about the content of the whole piece of writing. If you find skimming, scanning and reading for detail difficult, then the best way to improve is to practice. Using these reading skills effectively can be difficult at first, but the more you skim and scan, the better you get at it. So, why do you need to be able to skim and scan and read for detail? Sometimes you have to do research to find information for a project at work or an assignment for a course. You may be given information that needs to be understood, such as an important letter or an announcement or something on which you need to act. You might also read to relax, for example magazines or books, or to learn about a new hobby or interest. You need to know when it is appropriate to skim and scan read, but also when it is necessary to read more carefully and in a focused way.
Okay, so any questions about the video? Okay, so let's continue. So using the information that you've just seen and heard about in the video, I want you to match the skill to the definition. So I'll just give you a moment to read those and have a think about which definition, which meaning matches which skill. Okay, so tells you what a paragraph is about. What which skill that is the matches that definition?
Subheading.
Pardon?
That's the topic sentence, sorry.
Yeah, good. The topic sentence. Let me just get the excuse me. Good. Okay, a word, phrase, or sentence used to introduce part of a text.
Subheading.
Yeah, actually, you were right the first time. Let me undo that. So this one should have been subheading. Goodness me, it's not working today. Right. So that is the subheading. Because the word, phrase, or sentence is part of the paragraph. So that is the topic sentence. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you remember in the video, the image of a text with the highlighted subheadings, and they tell you what the paragraph is about. And then within the paragraph, usually coming first is the topic sentence. Okay, finding the gist.
Skimming.
Good. Reading slowly and carefully.
Scanning.
Okay, so we've got left scanning and reading for detail. And the two meanings we've got left are reading slowly and carefully or finding key information. So reading slowly and carefully. That one would be
Reading for details.
Yeah. And so that means that finding key information is scanning. So if you have a question, then you need to identify the keyword, and then you would scan the text for that keyword to find the answer. We'll look at that in a moment. Okay, text types.
Hello, Karen.
So by
Hello.
level 2 functional skills reading, you need to be able to read and understand a range of document types, which may include articles, letters, emails, reports, extracts from online forums, and blogs. So you should be able to read various documents and also to identify the type of document that you are reading. So the different text types or document types have different features, and these features can help you find the information you need. So there could be a table of contents, there may be subheadings, an index, menus, a glossary, an appendix, tables, and text boxes. Are there any questions about those features? Do you know what those features are, or do you have any questions about them? Okay. So, what types or what sorts of text or documents are likely to have these features? So if you think about these text types, where would you find these features? So a table of contents. Where might you find that? Okay, let's have a look.
I'll be finding the report.
Yeah. So in a report, or also you'd find a table of contents in a book. Okay, you're not going to be asked to read a whole book for your test, but you know, that's where you would generally see a table of contents, books and reports. Okay, an index. So let's have a look. Again, books and reports. So at the back of a book, think of any type of factual information, non-fiction book, then, you know, you can look for information in the index alphabetically. You think of a recipe book, which is something most people would be familiar with. You want to look up a recipe that includes chicken, then you would look in the index alphabetically and find it, and it would tell you the page numbers. So menus we would find on websites. What about a glossary? So a glossary we would find in a book again, in a report, or on a website. So does everyone know what a glossary is? Is familiar with that? Okay. And an appendix, again in a report, so additional information that is referred to in the report would be included at the end in the appendix. Subheadings, so all types of documents you might find subheadings in. And finally, text boxes we would see again in all different types of documents. Okay, any questions? Okay, so we have a paragraph here to read. So this is the sort of thing you might have in the test. This is a type of question. So you'd have some text to read and then questions about the text that you need to answer. So how we'll do it, I'll give you a moment to look through it yourself. Then I will read it out loud and then we'll have a look at the questions together. So I'll just give you a moment. So remember here we are reading for detail. So on our first read of the text, before we start answering the questions, we're reading for detail. Okay. Motor oil picks up a variety of hazardous contaminants when used in engines and transmissions. If used motor oil is released into the environment, it can harm humans, plants, animals, fish, and shellfish. In water, oil is a visible pollutant, floating as a scum on the surface. This can stop sunlight and oxygen from getting into the water, affecting fish and water plants. It can kill fish, frogs, and other animals that breathe from the water's surface. Low temperature burning of used oil can create airborne pollutants which can get into people's lungs and have adverse health effects. So question 1, how does motor oil pick up contaminants? So what reading skills do we need to use? So skimming, scanning, reading for detail. We've read the question. In order to answer it, which of those reading skills do we need to use?
Reading for details.
So, okay, so when we first came onto this slide and I showed you the text, or if you're in the test, when you first see the text that you need to read, that's your time to read for detail. But now you've read the question, how does motor oil pick up contaminants? Which skill are you going to use now? So remember, skimming is reading it quickly just to get the gist or the general idea of the text, and scanning is looking for a particular word or piece of information. So we're going to scan. So we're going to look for, if you look at the question, so we've got some keywords: motor oil, contaminant. So that's what we're going to scan for, okay? To answer our question. How does motor oil pick up contaminants? So we can see that we've got motor oil there, the first two words. Motor oil picks up a variety of hazardous contaminants when used in engines and transmissions. So that there is our answer. So that's what we would need to write. So motor oil picks up contaminants when it is used in engines and transmissions. Okay, so that's the answer. So looking at question 2, how does oil in water affect the environment? So what would our keywords be that we're going to scan for?
Oil in water.
Yeah, so oil, water, and also environment. Okay. So if you look, so scan the text. Where does it tell us about oil and water? So here we've got water, oil. So this part of the text is likely to give us our answer. In water, oil is a visible pollutant floating as a scum on the surface. Excuse me. This can stop sunlight and oxygen getting into the water. So we could start our answer there. How does oil in water affect the environment? Oil in water can stop sunlight and oxygen getting into the water. Ooh. And depending on the number of marks, you can judge how much else you need to write. So if it's only 1 mark, that would be enough. If the question has 2 or even 3 marks, then you would want to be adding further information about it affecting the fish, the water plants, and killing other animals. So you'd need to judge that. We'll have more practice as we go through the sessions, and also when we do a paper solving session together once we've gone through all the course content. So that will be what we'll cover, judging how much you need to write in each answer. So question 3, what can create airborne pollutants? So what are our keywords?
Airborne pollutant.
Good. So airborne pollutant. So then we're going to scan the document, the text, for those words. Here they are here. So let's read that sentence. Low temperature burning of used oil can create airborne pollutants. So it doesn't ask us about what the effects are. It just asks us how they're created. So that's all we need to put in. So airborne pollutants can be created by low temperature burning of used oil. Okay, so any questions about that? Okay, we're going to practice on another paragraph. So I'll read it out loud this time, and you can follow along on your own device. The new street butchery changed ownership a month ago. As the name suggests, the focus is on meat. It's no place for vegetarians. The menu is meat, meat, and more meat, from homemade rabbit and duck charcuterie to boar and venison, and the bellies, breasts, loins, and legs from practically every part of the animal kingdom. For meat lovers, there is a wealth of choice. It is not perfect, but it's good. It's great to see the butchery remain in good hands. So, question 1. What is the New Street Butchery? So does anyone want to have a go at that question? So for this question, you won't find a definition in the text. It's asking you to infer. So that means you're looking for clues in the text to answer the question. So in the text, it doesn't say the New Street Butchery is, and then give you the answer, but there are clues in the text to tell you what type of place the New Street Butchery is. What do you think it is? Okay, so I'm going to underline a keyword in the text that gives us a big clue. The menu is meat, meat and more meat. So what type of place has a menu? So there's food, there's meat, as it tells us, and there's a menu. What type of place might you go into where you can eat meat and you've got a menu?
A restaurant.
A restaurant. Good. So what is the New Street Butchery? It is a restaurant.
A restaurant.
Okay, so it's a bit of a trick question because it wants you to prove to the assessor that you have read it for detail. So you haven't just seen the word butchery and said, oh, it's a butcher's shop. You've read it for detail. You know there's a menu there. So it's a restaurant. It's not just a butcher's shop. Okay, how does the writer rate the food? So does he think it's good, bad? What does he say about the food?
It's saying that it's not a perfect one, but it's good.
Excellent. So you can just write that as your answer. The writer says, and we could quote it here, so put it in quotation marks. It's not perfect, but it's good. Okay, question 3. Why is the restaurant no place for vegetarians? And they're quoting from the text there. You can see we've got inverted commas or speech marks. So we want to scan and find that sentence. It's no place for vegetarians. So that's here. So it's no place for vegetarians. So let's look at what comes before that. As the name suggests, the focus is on meat. So what would your answer be? Why is it no place for vegetarians?
Because he has answered it.
Why wouldn't vegetarians like it? Because what's on the menu?
Meat, and more meat.
Yeah. So let's quote that again. Meat, because it serves meat, and good. Okay, well done. Okay, we've got another paragraph here and some questions to answer. Firefighters were called to the Nottingham police station on Sunday after a detainee using the public telephone room at the station allegedly tampered with the room's sprinkler head and caused considerable flooding. We isolated the water supply to the station, then helped mop up, a senior firefighter said. There was water 50 millimetres deep in the hallway outside the telephone room and in the room itself. The detainee was drenched. Police have charged him with criminal damage. So why were the firefighters called out? What had happened?
Because there was a considerable flooding.
Yeah, they were called out because there was flooding. Okay, how did the firefighters help? What did they do? So the firefighter tells us what happened. So what does he say? So if we look here, they isolated the water supply, then helped mop up. So they Okay, question 3. What happened to the detainee? Name 2 things. So for this question, if you don't put 2 things, you're not going to get any marks because it tells you in the question that you need to give 2 things. So we're looking for the word detainee. We're scanning the text for that word. Here it is, the penultimate line. The detainee was drenched. Police have charged him with criminal damage. Okay, so do we all know the meaning of drenched? Does anyone, I can tell you what that means if you're not sure.
To be wet.
Yeah, he wasn't just wet, he was absolutely soaked, wasn't he? If someone's drenched, they're absolutely covered in water, absolutely soaked through. Good. So what happened to the detainee? So I don't think it tells us if it's a man or a woman. Oh no, they've said him. So he was drenched and charged with criminal damage. Okay. Okay, so any questions about what we have covered today? Right, let's check our understanding. So, what is skimming? Looking for key information, careful reading, reading the first sentence of a paragraph, or finding the gist of a text?
Finding the gist.
Good, so it is D. Well done. What is scanning? So reading for key information, finding the gist, reading the first sentences of a paragraph, or slow and careful reading?
Reading the first key information.
Yeah, good. So finding key information. The topic sentence in a paragraph is always first, gives detail and evidence, closes the paragraph, gives the main idea of the paragraph.
Give the main idea.
Good. So D, gives the main idea. Usually first, but not always. When would you need to read slowly and carefully? When you need to know what a document is about, when you need to find a key piece of information, when you need to find detailed information, when you are looking for a page number.
Detailed information.
So to find detailed information. Okay, so you're reading the whole document in detail. Okay, so we've reached the end of our session today. Does anyone have any questions?
The question I have is, are you going to send us the recording?
So yeah, the recording will be available at some point next week. So the office should let you know when that's ready.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right then. Thank you very much. Hopefully see you
Thank
tomorrow.
you. Thank you
Thanks.
so much.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye. Bye.